Paramadarniya Vishwadharmi Dr. Vishwanath Karat sir, the Honorable Rotarian Mr. Paul Netzel sir, a very warm welcome to you. Ladies and gentlemen, members of Rotary, members of the esteemed MIT group, it is an honor to be working for the great visionary and, in my opinion, a true living legend, Dr. Vishwanath Karat, who was felicitated this morning with the first ever World Peace Prize conferred by Rotary International. Many congratulations to you, sir. Coming to the topic for which I have been invited to speak, which is basically music as a pathway leading to peace and world peace. Let me begin what our history, our legend, what our mythology teaches us from day one. That how was our music, or for that example, how was the music of the world? How did it actually come about? What gave birth to music? There is a theory that all of us have heard, which is, the Big Bang theory, that when the universe itself was formed, it is believed that a primordial sound emanated from it, and which we in India, and according to our philosophy and tradition, we refer to it as the Anahat Naad. And this is the repository of all the 7 notes and the 12 notes of music. That is how the basic notes, the basic sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, what we call in our system, or what is known as do re mi fa sol la si in the Western classical system, that is how it came about. I personally believe, and I think a lot of my musician colleagues would also be of the opinion, that just as human civilization has so many enduring legacies that it has left, so many enduring legends that it has left, it is anything. It could be the spoken word, it could be the written word, it could be the invention of the wheel. Similarly, Indian classical music also, in my opinion, Hindustani classical music and Carnatic classical music is undoubtedly one of the greatest legacies of human civilization that is there on this earth. And one of the reasons why I feel so is that music has absolutely no religion, no caste, no community, no boundary. There's nothing that can stop the 7 notes of music from flowing here or there, or in any part of the globe. So frankly, if there is any element that is completely free, what we call in Sanskrit mukt, if there is something that is completely free, completely untouched by pollution, it is the 7 notes of music. They're so pure and they're so pristine. Music, from the 7 notes, it became into harmony, harmonies turned into melodies, and basically it was created to give a person an experience which is that of peace and tranquility. Amongst the Navras in our Indian Shastra that we talk, in our Indian tradition, Shanti Ras is a very important element. And I think there is nothing more, there is no vehicle more correct than music to actually make somebody feel and experience that Shanti Ras, which is basically peace and tranquility. Of course, all of us, each one of us is entitled to our own taste in music. There is somebody who enjoys Dhrupad. There is somebody who enjoys Hindustani classical, Bollywood music. It could be rock and roll from abroad. It could be Western classical from abroad. That is all. It all basically is a melting pot. The eventual truth remains that everything is emanating from the same 7 and 12 notes of music, as we know. It has also been scientifically proved that listening to music relaxes you greatly, gives you tranquility, happiness, and peace. And it releases a neurotransmitter like dopamine and other hormones from the brain, which actually make you feel happy, peaceful, and tranquil. So that is the power of music. That is how much music is innate within us. That is how much we all are part of the entire cosmos, which is working on the same lay, the same rhythmic pattern. There is a research going on lately on music therapy. By lately, I mean in the last 5-6 decades. And 5-6 decades is a trifle when it comes to the great legacy of thousands of years that our country has. Music therapy has for many years proved that listening to certain rags, certain types of music, it reduces certain ailments. There have been significant examples where things like asthma, things like hypertension, things like anxiety, stress, blood pressure have greatly been reduced by listening to the correct rag at the correct time. There are absolutely many people all over the world who are engaging in this. There are many people who are very fervently pursuing this, and it is certainly yielding results. Over the centuries, when we see India has a very strong tradition of bhakti as well as shakti. So in the bhakti tradition, you'll see numerous saints. The saints are from various parts of India. There are Sufis, there are people of the Bhakti Parampara, there are great saints from South India like Purandara Das, Tyagraj, there is Sant Mirabai, there is Sant Jnaneshwar Maharaj, Sant Tukaram Maharaj, there are Sufis like Baba Bulle Shah and Lal Shahbaz Kalandar. If you notice that they too have found that the most apt vehicle for them to convey their message to the masses and to the people, and to keep it alive as the spoken word for centuries, has been via music. You will see the Viranis, the Abhangs of Jnaneshwar Maharaj, of Tukaram Maharaj. You'll see the Sufi Kalam of Baba Bulle Shah, Lal Shahbaz Kalandar. You'll see the Kirtis of Tyagraj, and so on and so forth. Another very interesting fact, which one must bring to your notice, is that music naturally itself is, something that is peaceful. I mean, music is peace, really. When you practice music, when you listen to music, when you do your own study of music, it actually takes you into a kind of a meditative state, and that meditative state is the precursor to the next step, which is attaining, which is basically coming to peace with yourself, coming to terms of peace with yourself. This is something I've seen with my own eyes, and I'm very happy that my very senior colleague, Mr. Surendra Mohite, is also here. He also must have heard about this, that Pandit Kumar Gandharv, the great Hindustani classical vocalist, in his garden in Devas, he had installed speakers, and every year he could see that the yield was getting better and the blooming of the flowers was much larger. So now this is something so unexplained. How do you quantify something so abstract in words? But this is again an effect that music has. It has a very positive effect, and anything that is positive is obviously going to be, towards peace. You've heard in mythology, you've heard in, why mythology? I would actually call it history, because Mia Tansen and Swami Haridas ji are part of our history, not just mythology. Whenever the heat was too much, Emperor Akbar would ask Mia Tansen to sing Rag Mia Ki Malhar, and they say it would rain. And similarly it is said about Swami Haridas ji, that whenever Swami Haridas ji sang, in Vrindavan at his ashram, there were all kinds of animals, including ferocious animals, which would just come quietly and sit very in a tranquil state, just enjoying that music. So how do you actually express this, or how do you actually quantify this? But nevertheless, the fact remains that music is the absolute pathway to peace, and we in India are especially very lucky, because this is the only country and only civilization in the world that has two fully developed and yet completely independent of each other music systems in a country. you will see universally that Western classical is the same. The composer could be from Russia, the composer could be from South Africa, it doesn't matter, but the genre of Western classical music is the same. Of course, then people have come up with folk music and rock and roll and pop and other things. But as far as classical music goes, India is the only country in the world which has a completely developed, fully developed, independent Hindustani system and a Carnatic system. So this is something which is, I think, a very great and enduring legacy of our motherland. There is one more thing, which I would like to bring to notice, that just as this wonderful symposium has been organized on world peace, which I think is an absolute necessity in the days of today, in today's hour, I would also coax and urge the honorary Rotarians to do something similar for music, because music eventually is something which is to be enjoyed by everybody, as much as it is by one singular person. The experience of one singular person can also be nectar for everybody else, and likewise. So basically, if we can have symposiums like this, even on music, it would be a great thing. Two historic symposiums on music, which I must mention. One was done by Bob Geldof, and the entire the Western plethora of artists, including Paul McCartney, Phil Collins, and everybody, for the famine in Somalia. It was called We Are the World. And something even larger, I'm very proud to say, because we have that great man sitting within us, in our midst, something even larger was done by Paramadaraniya Vishwadharmi Dr. Vishwanath Karad last year in Arandi, when 10,000 Mridangacharyas and 10,000 Mridang players, in complete harmony and consonance with each other, performed. You will not believe it, but unless you saw that spectacle, you would think, what is happening? How can 10,000 people be so united in every beat? That is because it's all lay. It's all tal, it's all rhythm. Anything which is not in lay is referred to as pralay. But because each one of those 10,000 was so harmoniously, so perfectly coordinated, that Mridang Sammelan is, I think, the talk of the world, not just the nation. There are people from all over the world asking that how did you manage this? How do 10,000 people actually sit and perform the same tukda, the same musical phrase, completely in consonance, na ek aage ja raha hai, na ek piche reh raha hai. Everybody is perfectly in sync, in order with each other. I'm also very, as a musician and as a person who is working under his umbrella and as a citizen of this country, I also want to thank Dr. Vishwanath Karad sir for giving not only this country but this entire planet a gift called the Vishwashanti Sangeet Kala Academy. The Vishwashanti Sangeet Kala Academy, which is at Vishwaraj Bagh, Loni, Karbhor, approximately 24 kilometers from this campus. It is the largest singular Indian music academy in the world. When you get time, kindly do go and visit it. It is, believe you me, it is something to behold, for your eyes to completely behold. We teach vocal over there, we teach instrumental, different disciplines of instrumental over there, we teach dance over there, and the entire premise of Vishwaraj Bagh, which is basically a center for Bharatiya Sanskriti Darshan, is Saptaswar, Saptarishi, Saptarang. So that is the premise and the concept around which Dr. Karad sir has given birth to that entire Vastu, to that entire place. So I would cordially, actually, as Secretary General of that academy, I would like to invite you there. And finally, I would like to end my conversation with you today by quoting from the great Lebanese-American writer called Khalil Gibran. We all must have heard about his great book, The Prophet, The Broken Wings, and so on. Khalil Gibran, once you have read The Prophet, he becomes a part of your daily life. You never leave Gibran, and Gibran never leaves you. So you'll be very happy to know that even before Khalil Gibran wrote books on other topics, such as Broken Wings, Bride of Syria, etc., his first book was on music called Al-Musika. Very few people are aware of that, but that's the truth. So I will just sum up this conversation with you with this one quote by him. Music is the language of the spirit. It opens the secrets of life, bringing peace and abolishing strife. Khalil Gibran. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your attention.